There
Scott Taylor's
we go.
phone. Yes.
Piece of garbage, that thing, I got to tell you. That's how it works. We are looking for Scotty Taylor.
Is this Mike Richards?
This is Mike Richards. You're live on the air because I almost lost it because this equipment is shit in a shit studio in a shit town.
I haven't had a good laugh like that in about 8 years.
Okay. Well, do you want a little flashback here? Here is the original
Flashback? Boy, that's a long time ago.
Here is the original Scott Taylor theme as provided by the Rolling Stones.
Oh, yeah, back in Calgary.
Yes, here we go. Here it comes.
Oh, yeah, come on, Winnipeg. Oh!
Here, every Tuesday and Thursday is what it said. The Scott Taylor theme.
Scotty's up. Scotty's up, and he's talking tough.
Talking tough.
Scotty's up.
Oh, yeah, I was so
Scotty's
tough.
up, and he's off the cuff.
Oh, yeah.
The bomber's talking tough.
It was pretty good.
Tuesday, Thursday, Scotty's up. Scotty's up.
Oh, such good memories. Great to have you back on the show, my friend. We'll do this on a regular basis because, boy, I miss talking to you. That was so much fun in the day.
Why you haven't called me anyway? I haven't moved anywhere.
Yeah, I guess there is that.
Still out in the damn prairie, freezing my behind off.
Yes, but with a good hockey team, though, all of a sudden.
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it?
Isn't that? Well, I'm sitting across from a man he has timed the birth of his children around the birthday of his favorite Jet, which, by the way, can you guess who that would be?
Remember, I'm an
Patrick
80s
Line.
boy.
He's an 80s boy.
An 80s boy. Oh, Dale Howardchuk.
Yes,
That's right.
It's on the same day. Two of them. I don't know if there's a shaman in some Métis village that allowed him.
What day is that?
April 4th, Scotty. Good morning, by the way. April 4th is the
That's
youngest.
right. Yeah.
And that's Howard Chuck's birthday.
Yeah, I knew I was close. I'm April 20th.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
on.
no one cares about you.
Yes, we do.
We're talking about.
And our new guy,
Yep.
Patty Line, is
Yes.
April 19th.
Ah, very good.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
So all the great Jets were in April.
I think. Hey, speaking of great Jets, Scott, and you, and we're joined on the line, Scott Taylor, by Game On Magazine. Check it out, gameonmag.ca. We'll talk about that in a bit. Laine versus Selanne. You had a chance to see Selanne when he was with the Winnipeg Jets for that handful of seasons. When you're distinguishing the difference between shot release between two of arguably, I know Laine's only in his second year, but I'm almost projecting that he could be Selanne light in a sense, maybe even better. Who knows? What's the difference outside of personality between the two Finns?
Well, there isn't much difference in personality, I can tell you that. Laine is Selanne heavy.
Okay.
Timu's about 6'1", tops, 190 pounds. I mean, he finished his career at about 188. He was in such great shape at the end. Completely different player than Laine. Timu was all speed all the time. Go, go, go. First to the puck. He just used his speed to an advantage that a lot of players didn't have, and that's one of the biggest reasons why he scored so many goals early in his career. Laine is a great big guy. He's 6'5", at least 6'5", and in skates looks even bigger. And when you watch him play, you think he's a little bit lumbering, but you got the same feeling about Howardchuk when he played, and you knew better.
Yep.
The thing about Laine is he may not look fast, but he gets to the spots all the time, and that's all you need to do. But he's got this gigantic shot. I mean, it's an uncanny thing. For 19, it's an incredible thing. He reminds you more of Brett Hull than he does of Teemu Selanne.
Right.
He's not going to win any figure skating prizes. He doesn't stick handle like Selanne did, but he gets into his spot. He sees the ice real well. He passes pretty well. But the thing about the Jets is they spend almost the entire power play getting him in that spot on the left wing to fire that one-timer right-handed. And, man, he can shoot the puck. And it still amazes people who watch the puck get to his stick and get into the net in a period of time that is difficult to record. And that's why why it drives goaltenders crazy. He scores so many goals on the short side because of this incredible release. So the difference, I think, between Selanne and Laine is that Laine, A, is bigger, B, Selanne skated better, C, Laine has a bigger shot, but Selanne made plays a little bit better than Laine does. And if Laine lasts as long in his career as Selanne did in his, he's going to score an awful lot of goals.
So, Scotty, if we're looking at this team going into the playoffs, you know, if there's a healthy Laine, you know what the expectation is going to be. So where is the weakness? Where's the concern for a Flames fan? Dave and I talked about it a little bit.
Jets fans,
Sorry, Jets fans, rather. Are we talking goaltending? What would be your concern number one?
Well, I think the weakness is experience. I mean, this is a team that's never performed very well in the playoffs. In the history of the franchise, going back to Atlanta, they've made the playoffs twice and have never won a game. Now, granted, there are only 4 players left from that Thrashers team, and they're all pretty good ones. It's Bufflin, Wheeler, Brian Little, and Toby Enstrom. So you've got pretty good hockey players left over from those teams. But this team has never won a playoff game. So the question is, how do you perform as a group in the playoffs? Are you ready to win hockey games? If there's a weakness, I suppose it's defense. Although if the defense is healthy, it's pretty hard to argue. Maybe the fourth line is a weakness, but they're only going to play 6 minutes anyway. So as long as Connor Hellebuck is ready to play the goal that he played during the regular season in the playoffs, and as long as this team can come to terms with playoff hockey. It's very interesting. When they last were in the playoffs, and they lost in 4 straight to Anaheim, they had the lead late in the third period in every game. And they just couldn't close the deal. So I think that's the biggest thing for this team. Are you ready to play playoff hockey, which is a completely different animal than 82 regular season games?
Well, Scott, also while we were talking...
Oh, and the other thing is, can you beat the Nashville Predators on a regular basis? They're 3-2 against, or 2-3 against Nashville this year, and Nashville has caused them fits. And you're going to have to see Nashville if you're going to win the West. So, can you beat Nashville?
Well, and here, you know, this season, unquestionably, the great story is got to be out of Las Vegas and what the Golden Knights have done. But is there an underlying feeling, and we've talked about it a lot on this show, that somehow they're just going to fold when it comes to the playoffs? Do you have that feeling as well?
I don't have the feeling they're going to fold. I think they're going to find it difficult. They have a wonderful coach. Gerard Gallant's the best coach in the National Hockey League right now. And the NHL gave them good players. And Marc-Andre Fleury, their goaltender, if he remains healthy, is a guy who has playoff winning experience. So, like, he knows what he's facing coming into this. So I don't think they're going to fold up by any sense, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for them. Everybody knows that playoff hockey is different. It's called differently. The officials look at it differently. It's closer checking. It's potentially 28 games, and you got to win 16 of them.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different animal. I don't think they're going to fold, but I think they're going to find it difficult.
Yeah, I think
that's still a pretty good hockey team, and they got a good goaltender.
Because the way they match up, and Mike and I discussed this before we brought you on, the way they match up right now, and of course there's still 4 or 5 games remaining in the season, Vegas would open up against Los Angeles. And if you're sitting there telling me who do you like in this series, Dave, I'm picking the Los Angeles Kings. I know they'd be considered the 7th seed, but if you're going to go to a 7-game matchup against Vegas, I like the Kings in this one.
The Kings are much grindier. They are more built for playoffs. They're bigger. They're slower.
Yeah.
The Vegas Knights are a lot faster than the LA Kings. I've seen the Kings a dozen times this year, and I got to tell you, there are nights when, boy, it looks like they're skating in sand. It's not really a fast hockey team. And if they let the Knights go, if they let them skate, Vegas will win that series. But we know it's playoff hockey. You're dragging guys around for 60 minutes. It's a whole different animal. So if LA can slow the Knights down and play their style of hockey, this grinding, slow, set it up, forecheck, if they allow them to do that, then I think the Kings have a great chance to knock them off. But I would go with Vegas if I was going to Vegas.
Yeah, we know what happened there too. These aren't great stories for the kids, just so you know. Where's Uncle Scotty? I don't know. What's the spearmint rhino? What is that? Well, is there candy there? Yeah,
Uncle
there is,
Scotty.
depending on how you look at it. Yes, there is candy. You are listening to Scott Taylor here on rawmickrichards.com, broadcasting live here in downtown Toronto, courtesy of DKI Canada. And just so you know, looking at my brackets here that have burned into flames. After the first couple of days, I was pretty proud of myself, Scott. I'm taking a look at the NCAA March Madness, and I'm like, I don't think anyone knows more than me. I've got Virginia to win it all. I am the smartest man in the world. And then one by one, they come thundering down into flames. And I got to be honest, I think I take a look at really what NCAA basketball is now. And if you've got the name in the resume like a Coach Cal or sometimes, well, a lot of times Coach K, and you can get in these but the reality is you're rolling the dice on guys who still could be, almost in high school. You're going to get them for 1 year. And it doesn't guarantee almost anything where you've got a program like we've seen Loyola Chicago. They played great basketball from the moment it tipped off. And maybe we shouldn't be surprised that, those glorified teams like the Michigan States of the world and even Virginia, who for my money was the best. I watched a lot of college basketball. They were the best team in college basketball. This is a tournament. It's a one-off. So, and they're kids, and that's part of the engaging part of watching March Madness. But, do I enjoy it? I still enjoy it, except my father, who somehow is a Duke fan, and I find that completely annoying, and I'm a little happy that they're out.
First of all, how did that happen? How is anybody a Duke fan?
I don't know.
It's like cheering for the Yankees.
And he's one of the greatest, one of the most beloved people in this area of all time, and he calls, and even worse, his Dukies. Oh, my God, does that make me sick.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's terrible. It is. And by the Grayson Allen, boy, in my day, we just called them a suck. I mean, I think that's the name for it.
Exactly right. On the playground, you're a big suck.
Yeah, something doesn't go well, he's tripping somebody, and it could be a girl. That's what's going to happen. That's Grayson Allen. I can't.
Grayson Allen, a big sucky baby. You're right. That's the way he plays. And you have to be a Duke fan to like him.
Yes.
Because nobody else does.
Yes.
I'm watching the game with people who don't watch a lot of college basketball outside the Big Ten. And they look at me and go, what's with this Grayson Allen guy? I mean, everybody who sees him play, what's with this guy?
Yeah.
I'm like you. I'm kind of glad they're gone. With all due respect to your father, I'm kind of glad that they're finished. But the thing about Virginia, and I liked them all season long, and I had them to win in my bracket, and I was done in day 3.
Yeah.
But I can't believe that they lost to Baltimore County.
I know. UMBC, people don't even have heard of it before.
And then they got hammered, and then UMBC got hammered their next game.
Yeah, not surprising.
I mean, and they didn't lose. Like, Virginia got clobbered.
Yeah, wiped out.
I mean, that's it. But that's the living proof of the first thing you said. That going back through all of these brackets and everything else, it is children playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't guys with 10 years of experience in their 30s getting $10 million a year playing for their lives. These are kids playing basketball. Hey, let's go play.
And they make mistakes.
And some make mistakes. Sometimes they just don't show up.
Right. Yeah.
I bet that team to a man was in the dressing room before the game laughing about how they were going to clobber these guys.
Sure. I mean, I remember...
That's what kids are.
That Rick Barnes University of Texas team that had Kevin Durant, just how they were going to run through everything. And they came out in that first half of their first or second game and got destroyed. And that is it. Now, look, this is sort of bridging into a conversation we had earlier on the show where the Raptors, if you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, I saw how their second unit was playing, philosophically, how they've changed that to have quite a perimeter game. And now I'm taking a look at it, and I'm still afraid of LeBron and friends because I think LeBron is good enough, even now, to sit there and change an entire game, if not a series, by himself. I'd still be very afraid of what he can do.
Here's the other thing about the NBA as compared to kids basketball. The college kids play 30 games tops before the tournament, maybe 32, maybe 35, maybe some of them, but they don't play that many games. So you're not as worn out. They play mostly weekends, occasional Tuesday night for TV or something, but mostly it's a weekend affair. The NBA is a grind every night, and you go to NBA games. I mean, DeMar DeRozan is carrying around some of the best defensive guards in the NBA for 48 minutes a night, 82 times a year. And you get down to this time of the season, It's like, let's get to the playoffs. Let's get this stuff done. It's over. We know what we're going to do. And again, like hockey, it becomes a whole different deal. I mean, I don't expect the Winnipeg Jets to win many games as the season goes along because they've clinched. They're into the 102 points. They're done. If they have a down night, you kind of expect it. They might lose 8-1 one night. Who knows? But it's over. It's time for the playoffs. And I just think this Toronto team is going to be a little bit better than they have been in the last couple of weeks once the playoff starts, because they're going to have more to play for, and they should, I suspect, have their heads together for that long 2-month grind that the playoffs take. I'm not as down on them as a lot of people are. However, when you mention LeBron, you're absolutely right. He can change everything. He can control it. The only thing he can't control is Kevin Durant hitting threes every time Cleveland answers, as we all know what happened last year.
No,
I mean, that was just a juggernaut, that Warriors team last year. If it wasn't Curry banging a three, it was Durant at 7 feet. I mean, that's a pretty scary thing to have to face. But I think Toronto's got a life. I mean, I just think that it's that time of the year. It's the dog days of March and April, and you've already clinched, and you're going to go to the playoffs, and let's get the playoffs started.
Speaking of the dog days, Scotty, we know you're a huge baseball fan. We also know that you're the editor of Game On Magazine. Check them out online, by the way, gameonmag.ca. What's coming up on the next feature of the magazine? And also, is there going to be a little bit of baseball in there? Because I know you're a huge baseball guy, and we're coming into the season. Opening day starts in, 72 hours.
We are completely a hockey magazine.
Okay.
Hockey. I believe the best in the world. My colleagues say the best in the country, but I think we're the best hockey magazine in the entire world. Our cover story in the next edition is Patrick Laine. We have a 5-page interview, just like the old-fashioned Playboy interviews.
Oh, yes.
Centerfold?
An interview with Patrick, who's a pretty funny guy. If you read the Players Tribune piece about him, he basically lives his life in front of a video game.
Yep.
And my favorite part about him is his mom comes from Finland and lives with him. It's very cool. But anyway, so our feature's on Patrick Laine, but what we've done is we've created this magazine. It's our 6th year, and we've created this magazine because the regular big-time media, the big shooter media, the big newspapers and TV and whatnot, have completely abandoned the young players in your community who play, the juniors, high school kids, the university teams. They've been completely abandoned in our community for the Jets. It's Jets. We have a tremendous relationship with the Winnipeg Jets with True North Sports and Entertainment, so we do 1 or 2 Jet stories an issue, but not very much for a 144-page magazine. It's almost entirely our 3 junior leagues, our women, our colleges, our high schools, our AAA midgets, AA Bantams, and then good stories about kids that are just trying to play the game and have fun playing it. So it's really been first of all, labor of love. Second of all, it's been an opportunity for us to get back into the roots of hockey in our province because nobody else wanted to do it. And it's really been incredibly rewarding because, as you know in Ontario, as you know where you are, minor hockey, junior hockey is gigantic. And the people you watch before they get to the NHL, the fan following is incredible, and people can't get the information they want as easy as they used to be able to. So that's why we create it, and that's what we do, and we're hockey. I also do a magazine called Sports Life, which is a bunch of baseball. We have the Gold Eyes in it and all the local baseball.
Yep.
But Game On is hockey.
Okay, so let me ask you not a hockey question. So
ball hockey. Yes, we have ball hockey. Ball hockey is a big supporter of our magazine. We do a lot of ball hockey. We do a lot of roller hockey as well.
Do you have bikini hockey? You're going down. Do you have bikini hockey? Because if you're going down this road, I'm just throwing stuff out.
Well, why not? And table hockey.
Yeah.
And NHL 18.
Or boot hockey.
We'll go the route if you're going to buy an ad in my magazine. I'll go the route for you.
Boot hockey, which is what they call soccer around the world. People go, "What's that called?" We call it boot hockey. Isn't that soccer?
Boot hockey. That's
call it
right.
what you want.
Boot hockey. Yeah, it's boot hockey.
Yeah. Now, what about the? I happen to think this year that the CFL might be kind of interesting. I think some teams that weren't competitive last year, certainly in the East, are going to be. What if we're taking a look at the Blue Bombers? What kind of year are they expecting to have? Because I know year after year they're
expecting to win.
Yeah, they want to win. Okay.
And that's a team that's expected to win. I mean, they thought they could win last year, and I think it was a very, very disappointing way to go out, losing that playoff game at home. I know that throughout that locker room that they expected to win. They had the personnel they thought was going to win them a Grey Cup, and I think the disappointment within that room is kind of incredible. You will never do the unfinished business thing again, because that's like a ticket to get yourself in trouble. Mm-hmm. But I think that's a team that expects to win. I think they expect Matt Nichols to play all 18 games and lead this team to the Grey Cup. Andrew Harris is back and he's healthy. They've picked up a couple of local kids who are good where they work, Keenan LaFrance and Nick Dembski. Their import skilled players are pretty good. I think the Bombers are a team that's ready to win. But you and I both know the Canadian Football League is interesting every year because of the one great thread of the CFL, Kevin Glenn. He has now played for every single team. There is a remarkable tweet that goes, "So what do you do?" "I play in the CFL." "For what team?" "Yep."
and you know, because I've never met Kevin Glenn, and probably all accounts.
Really, he's a wonderful guy.
I bet he is. But every time I see his face now, I get angry. I get upset.
Why?
Because stop playing for everybody. At some point, it's just annoying.
Oh, you know what? I got to tell you, I have this funny feeling that he's going to end up playing for 3 more teams this year. I mean, that's the way Kevin Glenn is. He's not going to do anything else. He's going to play quarterback for somebody in the CFL. I mean, he's had 2 trips to Winnipeg already.
Hey, if you had the opportunity, would you sign Johnny Football if in the blue sky you're a general manager of a team? Would you take on Johnny Manziel?
Absolutely. No question in my mind. First of all, you sell tickets. Second of all, you sell jerseys. Third of all, everybody deserves a second chance. Johnny seems to have repented. I follow him on Twitter. He seems to be a man who has repented, and he takes a lot of beating on Twitter and basically, with a lot of class, sloughs it off and says everybody else is wonderful. Life is grand. So I think Johnny Manziel has taken the turn, and I would love to see him in the Canadian Football League because I think he's a CFL quarterback. I think he's not Doug Flutie. He's not as smart as Doug Flutie, but I think that he's certainly a guy who would make the CFL a lot of fun, and I'd love to see him play someplace.
If you're an NFL GM, do you at least entertain having Colin Kaepernick on your team?
My wife, the Cleveland Browns fan, is just laughing so hard.
Well,
she's choking.
She better find some happiness somewhere. You know, that's a lot of rye. That's what that is. Would you sign Colin Kaepernick if you were a GM in the NFL?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. I mean, that was just, my goodness gracious. I mean, look at the people who are playing quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's looking a little
there
obvious.
Guys barely tie their own shoelaces. They got to get the trainer to tie their boots up.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness gracious. There are teams in the National Football League, including the Cleveland Browns, who are not trying to win. They left Colin Kaepernick out there. The people that Houston signed last year, I mean, those people are in the witness protection program. I mean, their families don't even know they're still playing football.
Well, if you're signing Brock Osweiler, if you're signing Brock Osweiler, you're telling me still at this point you still would take Brock Osweiler over Colin Kaepernick, and to me that's when it starts getting embarrassing.
The crazy Minnesota Vikings just signed Trevor Siemian, or they're going after him.
Yeah.
Come on, and you're going to give $84 million guaranteed to Kirk Cousins? What's he ever won? I mean, what's he ever won?
Well,
and you've given him $84 million guaranteed because, he might be better than Case Keenum.
Might be though,
should be.
But we'll see.
I'm dumbstruck by how just wrong ownership and management in the NFL is about everything, from CTE to the players they sign. There are teams legitimately in the National Football League who are trying not to win.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Colin Kaepernick is sitting there.
I don't disagree. It is at some point it gets a little embarrassing. Look, you got something else, Dave?
Yeah,
before
absolutely. I wanted to get this in there because I know we have a lot of new viewers listening to us, listening to Scott Taylor, and you know he's going to be more of a regular on the show from here on in. But I've never told you this story, Mike, but I wonder if Scotty remembers this one, and I'll say it right now. And you know I'm not embarrassing anybody here because it's a fantastic story. in the media business, we go through ups and downs all the time. And in Winnipeg, I went through a couple of downs and a lot of ups. And one time I was cut from Global Television. They went through a purging, which unfortunately still exists today with a lot of smaller stations throughout Western Canada, Northern Ontario, and so forth, because sports as a whole is starting to diminish, and it's criminal because of it. So I'm cut from Global Television, and I get a phone call from Scott Taylor. And he says, let's go out. I'll take you out for some lunch, and let's talk about this. We went to Earl's, and Scotty basically put my head back on straight, saying, you know what, Dave, there's bigger things for you to come. There's the grass is going to be greener soon. Keep your head up. And Scott, just from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough for that simple 2-hour lunch. I don't know if you remember it, but I'll remember it the rest of my life. And yes, there's roller coaster rides in this industry because of what we do. And this was definitely one of the biggest pick-me-ups I've ever had. And as a friend to friend, I'm publicly saying it right now. Thank you for this, and thank you for that. And you're just a fantastic guy, and I'm glad I can call you friend.
I don't know how to respond, but thank you very much. I actually have a tear. Thanks. No, I remember that day. It was a great day. This is a nasty industry. It's a rotten, lousy, nasty industry run by people who aren't very bright, and a lot of bad things happen to people. But if you're good and you're good, then everything will work out. And look, we both had downs. I had a real bad down. But if you're good at it, you just do it. And things work out, and I'm so glad that things have worked out well for you.
I'm glad you remembered the lunch, because if you said, well, Danny, Hey, Scotty, we got to run. I just love hearing your voice back on. We're going to do this on a regular basis because there's a lot of things that are going to be happening with Raw Mike Richards that I'll announce probably within the next 30, 45 days that are sort of a line in the sand, and we'll be crossing it. So we're excited about that, and we would like you to be a part of it. So I'm just thrilled that you could join us today, Prowl. Well,
I'm thrilled that you called me, and am I to call you Mike or Raw now?
You can go, well, those would be the nicest things you would call me. Take care, Scotty.
Thanks, guys. I'm off to my taxation lawyer. I'll see you later.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scotty. That is the one and only Scott Taylor. Has always been such a great guy. It was nice to hear that story too, Dave, that you had brought up, because sometimes, as he said, it can be a very nasty business.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.